Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jag, and in today's class we're going to continue with our Math 11 content, and this is going to cover perfect square trinomials as well as the difference of squares. So with that, let's get started. All right, so here we are. Okay, and so the first question that we're going to start off with is going to be the perfect square trinomial. Okay, so I'm going to write down this trinomial. It's 4x squared plus 28x, okay, plus 49. So say this is my trinomial. I actually don't know if it's a perfect square yet, okay? This is the general equation here. Maybe we'll just write it underneath. A squared plus 2ab plus b squared, okay? And as a general form here as well, okay? Maybe we can just write down what it's going to be here. It's going to be a plus b times a plus b. Okay, and in this case here, you can actually write it together, okay? So I'm just going to write a plus b, like whole squared, like this, okay? However, first we have to check if this is a perfect square trinomial. Okay, so in this case, when you're looking at this expression, this 4a squared is actually the value of a. The middle term here I see is 2ab. And the last term is going to be like your b value, okay? Or it's the b squared value. Maybe we could just write squared, okay? So it's just like this general equation I wrote on the bottom. Okay, so what we're going to do is find the value of a. So we'll just leave some space here, okay? I'm going to take the square root of the 4x squared. Okay, and when I do that, I notice the square root here is 2x. And for b, I want to take the square root of this last term here, which is 49. And the square root of 49 is equal to 7. Okay, does everyone see that? So what I want to do is basically just check if this is a perfect square trinomial. So what I'm going to do is just substitute it, okay, into my 2ab value. So I'm going to do 2 times my a value here, which is 2x, times my b value, which is equal to 7. Okay, and we're just going to times all of this together. Okay, so we're doing 2 times 2, so 4 times 7, which is equal to 28. And the x, okay, so I'm just going to leave the x here. Let's box our answer. Okay, so you notice we're getting 28x. If you look at your original expression here, that's equal to the middle term, which is 28x. Okay, everyone see that? So let's put it therefore. So therefore, I'm going to put this is a perfect square trinomial. Okay, so I know it's a perfect square trinomial, and we just checked that by finding out what the middle term is, and then we compared it to our expression to make sure that it is equal to the middle term. Okay, however, if I notice that it's not equal to the middle term here, that would mean that this is not a perfect square trinomial. All right. And so in this case, because it's a perfect square trinomial, I actually don't even need to factor this expression. Maybe we'll just write the factor on the side here. Okay. What you're doing is looking at this first sign, okay? Notice the first sign is positive here. And that's why my two factors are going to be a plus b and a plus b. Okay, so in this case, my a and b values here, I have 2x and 7. So 2x plus 7, okay? And then 2x plus 7. So notice I don't have to do like the sum and product here to actually factor it out. A perfect square trinomial, I already know what the factors are. Okay, and if you want, you can also just write it like this. It's 2x plus 7 whole squared. Okay, everyone see how to do that? Okay, so that looks good. With that, let's try one more example. Okay, before we move on, so let's try this one. Say I have 25k squared minus 60km plus 36m squared, okay? So what the question says here is verify that each trinomial is a perfect square and then factor it, okay? So I think we'll just leave some room here, okay? So the a value here is going to be the square root of 25k squared. Okay, and this is equal to 5k. Okay, and then we're going to do the value of b here. The value of b is going to be the square root of 36m squared. Okay, which is this last term here, which is equal to 6m. Okay, everyone's good so far? So what I wanted to show you is what I notice here is this first sign is actually negative, okay? So the general formula is actually a squared minus 2ab plus b squared, okay? So the only thing that's different is this negative sign here, okay? But again, I do need to just verify that this is a perfect square trinomial. So you notice in the example we did before, we had positive 2ab here. So this time it's just going to be negative 2ab, okay, which I notice is just the middle term right here. Okay, so we're going to just substitute our values. Sorry, put the negative sign. So negative 2, okay, times the value of a here, which is 5k. So we'll put it in brackets. And then times the value of b. Okay, the value of b here we notice is 6m. Okay, make sure you do put like the letters as well, okay, because that makes a difference. Okay, so we're doing negative 2 times 5, which is negative 10. And negative 10 times 6. Maybe you'll just write it on the side here. Negative 60, okay, km. Everyone see that? Again, this is my middle term. So we're just going to box it here, okay? And this is the middle term, and I notice, again, it's equal to negative 60 km, which is the middle term in this case. Okay, so we're going to write, therefore, okay, so this is the therefore sign, okay, guys? It's just like kind of like a triangle. So let's put this is a perfect, okay, square trinomial. Okay, so I notice it is a perfect square trinomial. You should always write like a therefore statement for it. Okay, so now we're just going to factor it out here. So I'm just going to write it on the bottom. Okay, and so let's write the factors here as well. Okay, so the only difference here in the general formula is going to be, instead of positive, it's going to be negative. So it's going to be a minus b and a minus b. Okay, or I can write it as a minus b whole squared. All right, so I notice I have my a value as 5k and my b value is 6m. Okay, so when I factor this, I know it's a perfect square trinomial, so we're going to do 5k minus 6m and 5k minus 6m. Okay, so just like this, or make sure you're always writing it going down. I could write 5k minus 6m whole squared, okay, because I noticed that both of these factors are exactly the same. Okay, so I don't need to change that. Okay, does anyone have any questions here? Okay, that looks good. So with that, let's move to the difference of squares. Okay, the concept of the difference of squares is actually very simple. Okay, so let's try like a simple example here. Say I have x squared minus 16. Okay, I know this is a difference of squares. There are only two terms here. And I notice that I can take the square root of both of these terms. Okay, let's write the general formula here for the difference of squares is basically a squared minus b squared. Okay, there'll be two brackets. In one bracket, I'm adding the two terms. It's going to be a plus b. In the second bracket, it's going to be a minus b. Okay, does everyone see that? And the reason it's like this is if you do actually FOIL this out, what you'll notice is the middle terms are actually canceling out. Okay, so let's try it for this example that we have. Okay, so what we're going to do here is, again, take like the square root of both terms. So square root of x squared is equal to x. And I want to take the square root of 16, which is equal to 4. Okay, oh, so let's write a. This is a, and this is my b value. Okay, so I notice because I have my a and b values here, okay, I can just write my factors out. Okay, so the first factor is going to be a plus b. So I'm going to do x plus 4 And my second factor here is a minus b. Okay, so I'm going to do x minus 4. And this is your final answer. Okay, guys, it's very simple. Again, for a difference of squares, I do not need to show my work here. Okay, I can just write out the factors just like if it's a simple trinomial. Okay, you don't need to show your work for that. Okay, let's try one more example here. Okay, let's do 9k squared minus 36. Okay, so again, the a value is going to be the square root of 9k squared, okay, which I notice is 3k. Okay, the b value is the square root of 36. Okay, so note that we're not using the negative sign here, okay? And because it's a difference of squares, there has to be a negative sign between these two terms. If this was 9k squared plus 36, I would not be able to use my general method here, okay, for the difference of squares. Okay, so the square root of 36 here is equal to 6. I have my a and b values here. So what we're going to do, okay, is just take out our factors. We can just write them down. Okay, so the first factor is going to be, again, a plus b. So we're writing 3k plus 6. And your second factor is going to be a minus b. So we are doing 3k minus 6. And it's just as simple as that, okay? So just write out whatever your factors are there. Okay, and you don't need to simplify that anymore. Okay, is everyone okay with that? All right, so with that, okay, let's go to our next example here. Let's write it on this side. Okay, so it's 162 minus 8s squared, okay? So in this case, I do notice that there are two terms, okay? And I believe it looks like a difference of squares, but I notice that when I do take the square root, okay, of like, let's do 162 and the square root of that, okay, I notice what we're getting here is 12.72, okay, which is a decimal, so I don't want to use that. The same thing with square root of 8. It's going to be a decimal. So what we're going to do is take out a common factor, okay? I want to divide both of them by 2, okay? And what we're left with here is going to be 81. I'm going to do 8 divided by 2, which is equal to 4. So I'm left with 4s squared, okay? Remember, you have to factor fully, okay? Now, if you notice inside the brackets that this is a difference of squares, I can take the square root of both of these numbers here, okay? So what we'll do is write our a value, which is 81. So we're going to take the square root of 81, which is equal to 9, okay? This is my b value, and I want to take the square root of 4s squared, which is equal to 2s. Okay, does everyone see that? Okay, and that's what we're doing here, okay? We want to just take out the common factor, okay? And then we're using the difference of squares. So keep the 2 outside again, okay? And one more time, if we look up here, I have my two factors. The first factor is a plus b, so we're going to do 9 plus 2s. The second factor is a minus b, so we're doing 9 minus 2s. Okay, and this would be basically our final answer, okay, in this case. So we just took out our common factor, and then we just did like the difference of squares. Okay, let's try one last example here. So let's do it on this side. Let's try an example where, again, we have to take out a common factor. So 75h squared minus 27g squared, okay? So again, try to take out a common factor, okay, where I can take out the factor, and I notice inside the brackets that I could use the difference of squares, okay? So what we're going to do here is let's take out 3, okay? I notice I can divide both of these numbers by 3, okay? I'm left with 25h squared. So we're doing 75 divided by 3, so 25. And then 27 divided by 3, which is 9, so 9g squared, just like this. Okay, and now inside the brackets, I notice I have a difference of squares. So we're going to do a, so square root of 25h squared, which is 5h. Okay, and then the value for b, we're going to take the square root of 9g squared. Okay, I would still put the letters inside as well. Okay, so you can see your answer, which is equal to 3g. Okay, and here we're just going to write our factors. So one more time. Okay, if you look at the top there, the first factor is a plus b. Okay, so I want to just write 5h plus 3g like this. Okay, notice we're just using the a and b values. The second factor is 5h minus 3g. And it's just like this. Okay, does everyone see that? Okay, so you do notice here, okay, that again, we're just taking out that common factor and then just do like the difference of squares, okay, to get your final answer. Make sure you don't stop somewhere in the middle, okay, or the teacher will take off marks for that. All right. Okay, so that looks good. And if there are no questions, that does bring this video to an end. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you do like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I will see everyone in the next video. Thanks. Bye.